A 2.5-liter container has a gas pressure of 4.6 atm. If the volume is decreased to 1.6 liters, what will be the new pressure inside the container? So first, let's make a list of what we have. So V sub 1, the first volume, is 2.5 liters and the pressure that corresponds to that volume is 4.6 atm. Now, the volume is decreased to 1.6 liters. That's a new volume. And we're looking for the new pressure, or P sub 2. So all we need to do is use this equation. P sub 1 times V sub 1 is equals to P sub 2 times V sub 2. Now let's substitute all the given value. So 4.6 atm times 2.5 liters is equal to P2, or P sub 2, times 1.6 liters. So 4.6 times 2.5, so that's 11.5 atm liters, and equal to 1.6 times P sub 2. So now, to solve the P sub 2, we got to divide both sides by 1.6 liters. So now, that's about 7.19 atm. So, as a final answer, P2 is equals to, or pressure 2 is equals to 7.19 atm. So, as we can see in line with Boyle's law, you should always check to make sure that this answer makes sense. We decrease the volume from 2.5 to 1.6. Therefore, the pressure should increase from 4.6 to 7.19. So now, let's move on to number 2. The air inside a flexible 3.5 liters container has a pressure of 115 kPa. What should the volume of the container be increased to in order to decrease the pressure to 625 torr? So first, let's write the given. P sub 1 is equals to 115 kPa. V sub 1 is equal to 3.5 liters. Now, P sub 2 is equal to 625 torr. And our goal is to calculate V sub 2. Now we need to realize is that P sub 1 and P sub 2, they should have the same units. Now, pressure doesn't have to always be in ATM. It can be in torr or in kPa or millimeters mercury. However, these two units have to match. If P sub 1 is in kPa, P sub 2 should be in kPa as well. If P sub 2 is in torr, then P sub 1 should be in torr. It doesn't matter which one is which as long as match. So I'm gonna convert P sub 1 into a torr value. So we need to know the conversion. 100 kPa is equals to 760 torr. Between kPa and torr is equal to 1 atmospheric pressure, which is in turn is equal to 760 torr. So this is the conversion factor that we need. So I'm going to put 115 kPa over 1 times 760 torr over 101.3 kPa at the bottom. In order that the units of kPa will cancel. And I'm going to put 760 torr on top. So 115 over 1 times 760 torr over 101.3 kPa. So this is equal to 862.8 torr. So that's for P sub 1. So now, these two units match. So at this point, we can now use the formula. P sub 1 times V sub 1 is equal to P sub 2 times V sub 2. Now let's substitute all the given value. 862.8 torr times 3.5 liters is equal to 625 torr times V2. So the unit torr will be cancelled so that volume can have a liter unit. To get the answer, it's going to be 862.8 times 3.5. So that's 3019.8 is equal to 625 times V2. Now let's divide both sides by 625. So V sub 2 is equal to 4.83 liters. And that's the answer. So notice that the volume was increased from 3.5 to 4.83. So this caused decrease in pressure from 862.8 torr to 625 torr. Now let's work on this last question or last problem. The volume of a gas at 17.5 psi decreases from 1.8 liters to 750 milliliters. What is the new pressure of the gas? Right now, P sub 1 is equals to 17.5 psi, or it's pounds per square inches. So we can get our answer for P sub 2. It's going to be the same unit, and then later we can convert it to ATM. So V sub 1 is equal to 1.8 liters, but V sub 2 is in milliliters. So we need to make sure that these two matches. So I'm gonna convert milliliters into liters. Now, the conversion factor is that 1,000 milliliters is equals to 1 liter. So let's divide. So that's 750 over 1 times 1 liter over 1,000 is equal to 0.75 liter. So V sub 2 is equal to 0.75 liter. So now that V sub 1 and V sub 2 have the same units, we can now use the equation. So P sub 1 times V sub 1 is equal to P sub 2 times V sub 2. Let's substitute all the given value. 17.5 psi times 1.8 liters is equal to P sub 2 times 0.75 liters. So to calculate P sub 2, multiplied first P sub 1 and V sub 1. So that's 31.5 psi liters. Divide both sides by 0.75 liters. So P sub 2 is equal to 42 psi. Cancel the liter unit. But we need to change it to the right unit. So what is the conversion factor from PSI to ATM? 14.7 psi is equal to 1 ATM. That is the conversion factor that we need to use. So starting with 42 psi over 1 times 1 ATM over 14.7 psi. So cancel the PSI unit. So it is equal to 2.86 ATM. So the new pressure is about 2.86, and that's the answer.